Right. Welcome back to the FNZ Football Show, the Monday night show. We've had a week off over the last week. I've been on holiday, so no one to host it. But we're back in fruition tonight. And obviously looking ahead to the new Premier League season, which is, 2 weeks away. Under 2 weeks until the new Premier League Championship. All of the seasons start in under 2 weeks. And we still can't get into stadiums. What are we going to do? I mean, we've got to be patient. However, I'm looking forward to football week in and week out again. So to join me tonight, I'll bring the boys in. Firstly, let's have a word with Mark Beck. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, not too bad. You're a bit small there, aren't you? Let's bring you up to size.
Not usually that small.
Is that what you tell your missus, is it? Or?
Yeah, that's what I tell her. How was your holiday?
Yeah, weren't too bad, mate. Got a bit of sun.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, the three S's. I won't go there, but yeah, it was good. Good. And Costa del Cornwall's not too bad. To recommend it to anyone at this moment in time. But the weather's starting to pull in now, so it's not really worth going down there. But yeah, nice place. Nice place to visit. Let's bring in Tux. Looking good there, mate. Head shining always. You got that cap on, haven't you, tonight? Chicago Bulls. Are you a fan of Chicago?
Well, yes and no. But I was going to say about your tan. Looks like you've just been to San Tropez, mate, not Cornwall.
I know. Look at that t-shirt tan, proper dad tan. That. But yeah, it was good, but it was good. Obviously, there's been a lot going on in the last 2 weeks football-wise, so we've got a lot to get into. So finally, let's welcome in DA tonight. Dan Allen, how you doing, mate?
Evening. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Good. We've got lots to get through tonight, boys. Lots of news to come in. First of all, let's start with the big news. Right, so this week, the England squad is probably the biggest news coming out of football, other than Messi, but we'll get round to that shortly. On Tuesday last week, Gareth Southgate named a 24-man squad for England's up-and-coming UEFA Nations League games against Iceland and Denmark. So some questionable inclusions into that squad. He may be testing the waters a bit, but obviously Calvin Phillips, who won promotion from the Championship with Leeds, was included. In there with the likes of Phil Foden from Man City. 18-year-old forward Mason Greenwood was also selected from Manchester United. You got Southampton's Danny Ings, he was obviously the joint highest goal scorer in 1920 in the Premier League. He's been recalled for the first time in 5 years. I mean that's a big jump forward back into the squad. You've got some also big recalls for Eric Dyer and Kyle Walker. They haven't been in the squad since the 2019 UEFA Nations League finals in Portugal, whilst James Ward-Prowse has also come back into the squad. He's uncapped since last March. So there's been a lot of changes, a lot of inclusions. Noticeable omissions, though, boys, from the squad. The biggest talking point being that Jack Grealish was not originally selected. Why did Gareth not pick him ahead of the likes of Phil Foden and James Ward-Prowse? Put that out to the floor. Who wants to start?
Go on, then, Tux.
I thought he was going to start because he was just raving about Southampton there. But yeah, I think with the problem with Grealish, I think, is that he's just too much of a liability. On the pitch, obviously, very good. Had a stellar season. But I just think he's a bit of a liability when it comes to his character. But, as I say, on performances on the pitch, you can't really ignore it. And obviously, that's why he's back in, amongst the injuries that we've suffered. But yeah, I think it's good that he's getting his chance, but it's probably down to the fact he's just a bit of a liability, I think.
Yeah, DA, obviously he's never played for England before at that international level on the big stage, obviously in the first team. But if we look at it, he was involved with Ireland at some point. He turned them down as well. He's wanted to play for England. He's obviously been called up today. Has he got more chance of playing than, let's say, Mason Mount if he was included?
Hard one, really, because he had a good season, but like Mark said about his mentality, it's obviously wise and probably why Southgate's not included him previously, and obviously during lockdown with the car crash and stuff like that, you've got a bit of about on there. But after seeing he had last season with Villa, he deserves to be called up ultimately, to be honest. Whether he was playing Mason Mount, Southgate's in like him quite a lot and go for the younger lads, but he's got a better chance than ever now with the dropouts and things like that. So he might make his debut.
Yeah, important thing you said there. Obviously, Mark is captain Aston Villa to Premier League safety this season. More than likely to get a call up for that alone. I think he's been a brilliant player. He's done a lot of stuff in the Premier League this season, just gone. Some great individual goals, some great assists. Obviously, everyone always says the most tackle player in the Premier League. That must stand for something.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. Like, I get the Phillips one, I can kind of understand because at least Phillips played a whole season, like, and we don't really have a lot of players that can play there. I think Bielsa kind of plays him almost as like a third centre half, really. So, and Gareth Southgate sort of, I think we played a three at the back at the last World Cup, didn't we? So,
Yeah.
But Grealish, I think, for Foden and Greenwood to get in, I was like, really? Like, I know they've done well since, whatever it was, Project Restart came back, but Grealish was good before lockdown and good after lockdown. I don't see why, unless, like you said, it's the reasons Tux said, that he's not been selected until basically we've had how many withdrawals? Like 3 or 4 now. It's just took for him to get in there.
I mean, I
don't get it.
But he should have been, top of the pile, in my opinion. I mean, if we look at it, my next question really was going to be: do you think he was omitted originally? Do you think, given that he was omitted originally, Grealish's backhanded call up today after the exit of Marcus Rashford from the squad is a bit, probably backhanded for him? Does he feel like he's earned that call up?
Well, I don't know. If you're playing for England, it shouldn't matter how you get called up. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity for some players. Like sort of David Nugent and that kind of thing. And it doesn't matter how your call ups come about, whether you've had players that are better than you and they've been injured and you've just got that call up because of that. But Grealish, I think, should be chomping at the bit. Proving his manager wrong for not obviously putting him in the squad originally, and make sure he's just well behaved and not a liability, and not having Jaeger bombs on a holiday somewhere and then being drowned in his own sick. So yeah.
I mean, we've talked about Gareth's inclusion of certain players, but he's had some questions. Like, I've agreed with the bloke up until now. I think it's just this whole coronavirus thing. He's had too much time to think about it. But DA, if you look at the squad, we've not even included a left back. What's going on?
It's a random one with availability and things like that. But yeah, he's going to try new things. But yeah, it's a weird one, that.
I mean, if you were going to include a left back, naturally you'd select Ben Chilwell, wouldn't you? I mean, is he injured? Is he not available?
No idea. It's just me with Chelsea, so obviously it's a weird one, really. But he's had a good season at Leicester, but you're going to think he's carrying a knock there. But what I would say is good to see Connor Cody called up. He deserves to be in there. There's been a lot of debate about the last sort of year or so, but the left back situation is a very weird one, really. There's a lot of right backs in that squad, but not a lot of left backs.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Utility players, I'd say. But that brings me on to my next question. Obviously, Bex, I don't know what you think about this. Obviously, Harry Winks and Harry Maguire have been dropped out of the squad for injuries or whatever. And we'll go on to that a bit later. And, they've been replaced by the likes of Connor Cody and Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Now, I can understand one, but not the other. Has Gareth had an absolute head gone there?
Oh, his mum's had a word, isn't it, Ainsley? That's not the first time it's happened, but no, I, like Dan said, I think Cody's been well deserved. I don't think he missed a minute for Wolves last season, which is a hell of an achievement, which considering all the competitions they were in. Maitland-Niles, I think, yeah, maybe, but I'd rather seen. I'll probably be ousted for a Norwich lover now, but I would have probably rather seen Max Aarons get in if you're going to pick another right-sided sort of player. Like, where is he playing? Is he playing as a midfielder? I don't know.
Where do you fit into the squad? I mean, Tux, what do you think about it?
I can only speak from what I've seen, and obviously he was at Ipswich on loan a few years ago, and to be honest, he wasn't that great. I know he's probably, he was a kid then, and he's sort of grown into being a senior player now. been fairly decent at Arsenal without sort of ripping it up, I suppose. But very versatile. And your point about calling up players that are versatile, that's probably what Southgate wants. He doesn't want to have players that just sit in a position. They want to, especially if it's a World Cup or Euros or a Nations League, whatever, you're going to have to take those versatile players, and they'll be good for the squad. So if he gets his minutes in now, then he could be, pretty good for us in the future. But yeah, I do agree there probably could be other players that you could have picked ahead of Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
Off your top of your head, boys, is there anyone that you would have included instead of Ainsley Maitland-Niles if you were England manager? Say it again, Tux.
Like Beck said, I'd probably say Aarons. He's had a good season at Norwich. But yeah, I mean, without, not off the top of my head, but, there's probably a few that you could probably pick. Whether Chilwell's injured or not, I don't know. But, you'd think he'd be in there purely because of he is a left back at the end of the day. He's had a decent season. So, but yeah, I think the thing with Southgate is he's willing to give players a chance, especially young players. And I know he's been at the, younger age level, managing, teams that have won tournaments or whatever. But, he's given these players a chance. Hodgson in the past, would he have done that? I don't think so. We'll still be playing bloody Lampard by now. So he's that kind of manager where he doesn't really look at that. And I think Southgate, for any of his faults, he does at least give us, he gives the youth a chance.
Yeah, I mean, Iceland, Denmark, 2 winnable games. Do you think England would come out winners in both of them?
Should do, really. But then we said that in the Euros, didn't we?
Yeah, we could say that about the Iceland game a few years ago, and look what happened there. So you can never write these teams off because they want to have a go. They want to beat England. This is for some players, it's their career-defining game, if you know what I mean, and they go get a big move after it. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's get on to our next talking point tonight. Obviously, Harry Maguire, massive news last week. Where do I start this one? England international and Manchester United captain Harry Maguire was arrested on the Greek island of Mykonos on August the 20th. Harry's pals said 2 Albanians had injected his sister Daisy with a drug. Maguire received a 21-month suspended sentence after he was convicted of attempted bribery, assault, verbal assault, and attacking cops. He was subsequently dropped from the England squad, as we mentioned just there. Lads, we know how stories can be twisted in tabloids, but it's obvious that something has gone on here that we're not partial to. Have you heard anything else? What do you think's going on? And how does this get resolved? Let's start with you, Bex, on this one, mate.
It is what it is, really, and it's not the first time this has happened. I still remember, a lot of people was like saying, "Oh, is he going to be stripped of United captaincy or England captaincy?" Steven Gerrard smacked about a DJ a few years back, and he was still England captain and Liverpool captain. It happens, and we'll never know fully what happened. I know a lot of the England fans. We've got a few in our friendship group who are like, "Oh, he's not done nothing wrong. It's Harry bloody England." But I don't know. I think they're just best. He'll just have to suck up the punishment and go with it, really. Yeah.
Let's go over to you, DA, on this one. What kind of detrimental impact will it have on Harry Maguire's career going forward, do you think?
It's obviously going to be looked at in the future, about what he's done, and if he does anything wrong in the future, he'll just get looked at again. But I think they say that it's been acquitted for the time being until he's an appeal. Now they've removed the charge, haven't they, or something?
No idea.
Now. But yeah, Greek law apparently, as soon as you appeal something, the charge goes off until they do another hearing. So that's a bit of a weird one, really.
Right, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be honest, it's been dealt with really, dodgily. I saw a newspaper story, not even an hour ago, saying that that the Greeks have changed their story now, that it was actually plainclothes officers that have been brought into the country to tackle drugs and alcohol abuse. That came up to Harry in plain clothes and arrested him. Like, it just doesn't make sense. There's just a massive cog missing here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're saying that he took his sister to the hospital. The next thing he knows is in a police station. I mean, how do those two things come together? It doesn't happen like that, does it?
Get Columbo on it. He'll sort it out. He'll work it out. What's going on here?
I don't think there's enough cigars in the world for that, mate, to be honest. Let's go Tux, mate. Do you think, like I've just said there, detrimental impact? What would the recovery period be on this? Do you think that would disdain his Manchester United career, his England career?
Not at all. I think it's one of these sort of things where this will be forgotten about, fairly forgotten about as months and years go on, really. It's like what Becks was saying about Steven Gerrard, not really the only one brought that up after it happened, and certainly doesn't now. So I don't think so. Obviously, he's got a responsibility as a captain of one of the biggest clubs in the world. Maybe some clubs might have done it. But I don't know. I think Harry Maguire's he'll probably be informed now not to go on holiday, to that kind of place again. He'll probably have security guards now, that kind of thing. So his protection will be, upper level, so to speak. So no, I don't think it will. I think Southgate was right to take him out of the squad because I think it's too much pressure at the moment. But I imagine, the next few games that come up, he'll be back in the squad and obviously back in that central defensive position.
Yeah, I mean, look, where do you go on holiday? I mean, if you go on to Greece, it's relatively close, isn't it? It's not. You've not gone too far. You're still in the European back garden, I would suggest. I mean, if you're getting done in Greece, it's likely you're going to get done anywhere, depending on what's going on. Yeah. Sounds like he was targeted, maybe in some sense. But footballers nowadays, they're so massive in popularity. They can't actually go anywhere without attracting attention. Do you agree, Bex?
Well, he's got big enough head, so he'd spot him from a bloody long way away. But no, they were saying that they didn't even know who he was, though, didn't they? They were like, "Oh, we don't know who." They're being a bit shithouses to Man United. They're like, "Well, we're in Greece. We don't really know Man United players nowadays." But no, it's just the way the world is, isn't it? You just can't get away with anything nowadays. And you know what it's going to be like on Twitter for years. It's like Gary Lineker. He can't put a tweet out without the mention when he had an accident on the pitch, can he? So, no. Yeah, it'll bound about a little bit longer than, like we said, probably some other acts that have gone on in the past. But put it this way, there's been footballers who have come back from a lot worse and gone on to play. So it'll be fine.
Completely agree. Right, let's have a look at this then.
Fancy yourself as a bit of a Premier League guru? Why don't you put your managerial skills to the test and join our FNZ Fantasy Premier League ahead of the new season? Download the Fantasy Premier League app and use the code on screen. Good luck, you're going to need it.
Yeah, so obviously we've got our Fantasy Premier League up and running for this season. I think we've got just about 70 participants so far, so it's building quite well. Obviously, Bex, it was your idea to bring it up for the channel. I think it's a really good idea to get everyone motivated. But if you want to join, obviously the Premier League code is going along the bottom there. You've just got to download the Fantasy Premier League app. Bex, any early signs of some champions in there, or are you putting yourself up there for top of the league?
Well, at the minute I'm winning, so that's all good. I don't know how long that will last, but I've got probably one too many Southampton players in there. But yeah, that's just me. I'll probably forget about it by about week 3, but it's very important that you all get involved and prove how good you are as a manager and how much more you probably know than us 4 sitting here.
So, Tux, I assume that you've joined the league as well. What kind of formation or what kind of players have you gone for on your side?
I've gone for a winning formation, as Mike Bassett would say, 4-4-2. So, yeah, it's a winning formation, and each player that I pick will do something, score goals, defend, win me points.
They'll do something.
They'll basically do what they're on the pitch to do. Then, yeah. Dio, who have you gone for as captain in your squad, mate?
I've not chose my one yet, but I know what I'm
What's
going to. I
going
know who
on?
I'm
You
picking.
can't join the league without choosing your squad, surely.
I know what I'm doing. I know exactly who I'm
We've
going
got
to
a
pick.
serious fantasy Premier League player here right now. Look at him. He's
Mind games going
yeah.
on.
I mean, you must be the only person who hasn't selected their squad yet. Are there any players that you guys are looking out for to maybe join the Premier League so that you can add them to your squad?
Let's have a think. Chelsea are quite active, aren't they? Havertz seems to be one that's round and about.
Get onto them surely, but Chelsea are just looking absolutely brilliant for the new season.
Yeah.
You know, they're definitely up there for me. We'll get on to that next, but let's go on to the watch list then, boys. I'll find the bloody trailer. Right, so this week we've had some transfer news, and this one's involving Crystal Palace now. Eze, QPR's Eze, has signed a 5-year contract with Crystal Palace, becoming the club's second arrival of the summer 2020. South London-born Eze has 22, has risen through the ranks at QPR after joining them in 2016. 20 goals in 104 appearances for QPR. DA, is he ready for the Premier League, mate?
Time will tell, but he fits the profile that Palace need to go for now. They've got such an aging squad. They need to rebuild. Not a lot of youngsters in there, and so he's worth a punt in the day. He's done well at QPR with his goals, and say being 22, he's still got a lot of years ahead in the 5-year contract, so they're going to probably get a lot out of him, really, to be honest.
Yeah, Eze is an exciting player. If you look at some of the footage from last season, especially, he took the championship by storm. I think it was 14 goals he scored in the championship last season. Tux, is he a player that's caught your eye previously?
Yeah, definitely. I think he was getting linked with West Ham, I think, and it's going to be a swap deal for was it Jordan Hugill? But he obviously went to Norwich in the end. But yeah, good player. I don't know whether he's going to be like a direct replacement for Zaha if he ever goes. But having both of them at the club will be good. Kind of like a front three of Zaha, Townsend, and Eze. So it could be good. Could be good. So yeah, I expect good things from him this season.
I know, Becks, you've been quite, let's say, fruitful about Palace's chances previously. Do Palace have the platform available to let Eze thrive in the Premier League, do you think?
They should do, really. I think they tried to do what they're doing now a few years ago under De Boer, but it obviously didn't work. I think where Hodgson's done well is he's built a really sort of solid foundations. You look at their squads, particularly last season, they've got quite a solid spine. Obviously got Guaita in goal now. Tompkins and Cahill were fairly reliable. Then midfield, you got Milivojevic, MacArthur. They just lack that striker. That's what they're still looking for. But Eze is a great player. I don't think they could really rely on Townsend at times. Zaha wasn't great last year, but hopefully they can get the best out of him by maybe bringing in someone who's going to take the pressure off him. I think it's a great signing. I like what they've done at right back as well. I think they got Nathan Ferguson come in. They're still linked with our boy Flynn Downs at Ipswich, which was a bit of a worry for many of us. But no, it's a good move, I think. Like DA said, time will tell, really. Roy's a little bit pragmatic at times. I think that's a little bit frustrating for Palace fans. But no, I like it, and hopefully they continue in this direction.
Yeah, I like the kind of players that they're bringing in. Like you say, they're Ferguson and Eze, two top players. But they've kind of managed to crack Premier League stability over the last couple of years. Can they go that step further and maybe challenge for Europe, or are we talking maybe it's a bit too early for Palace at this point in time?
I think they're looking at more relegation. I don't think they're anywhere near with the European football. I think if they're looking at anywhere, they're looking downwards rather than upwards. I know they've just signed Eze, and I'm sure they'll go sign some good players, but I think they're looking more down the table than they are up. And it is a lot of it is with having a striker. You need a striker that's going to fire there. And there's a lot of teams in the Premier League that are looking for that. I think Everton is one of those sort of sides that have been looking for a Premier League striker, decent Premier League striker since Lukaku left, and he left quite a few seasons ago. So Palace are sort of similar, but worse or on the same par as Everton, I think.
Yeah, if you continue to, I'll go to DA on this one. DA, if you continue to rely on players such as Benteke and Ayew to get you through every week, you're not really going to come up with a good sustain the Premier League at the end of the day, are you?
No, at all. No, they're saying you're probably looking at best for them 10 goals a season, and obviously they've had Zaha sort of chipping the goals the last couple of years as well. But it's worrying. I say I agree with Mark. I see them being very much in the relegation battle next season with the sides that have come up. I think will do all right, and they've got to recruit really well. But say the squad is it's probably one of the oldest in the Premier League now, as I'd say. It's sort of
just like the manager. Becks, do you agree with that?
Yeah, Tux hit the nail on the head. You look at the sides who, obviously you've got the top 6 traditionally, and then you look behind them. Leicester have got Vardy, Wolves have got Jimenez, and then you look beyond that. I hope Southampton will be up there. They've got Ings, but you look at Palace, their strikers. You look at all the teams in the Premier League. Have they got better strikers than Everton? No. Have they got better strikers than Burnley? No. Like there's a lot. West Ham? No. Like they haven't. There's a lot of teams ahead of them in the striking department, and unfortunately, as defensively sound as they can be, you're not going to win too many games if you're not scoring enough goals.
I mean, that's an interesting point there, boys. I'll just summarise this with another banner here. Hold on. Everton. You've mentioned the club. They've got some good young players there that come through. They're playing Premier League football week in, week out, and they're looking to bring players in. I heard they're in advanced talks with Real Madrid for James Rodriguez. So that one could come in. They're also getting Alan from Napoli as well. Not Alan Brazil, but the actual Alan from Napoli, the Brazilian. But they're looking to build on that midfield. They've never replaced Lukaku, but they've definitely got goals coming from left, right, and centre, haven't they?
Well, I don't know. There's an Everton signing, and you can see it. Like every year, there'll be a player who they'll either finish in the bottom half of the Prem or might even be relegated, who are too good for their side. And you go, are they good enough for a top 4, top 6 side? Probably not. Oh, they'll go to Everton then. Like that happens all the time, literally every season. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for like a Callum Wilson or someone like that. Like it's got him moving to West Ham or Everton for 35 million has got it written all over him. Like you could easily see that happening.
I mean, he's not an international striker for one, and I strongly argue
that's what they do. But it's what they do, though, isn't it? Like they do it all the time. Sigurdsson, like Richarlison. People rate Richarlison. I don't think he's anything special. Who else have you got?
We've got when you said Rodriguez, I think you've got to look at someone like Walcott, where he went there. He had so many good seasons. Well, not so many, but a few good seasons at Arsenal. And it's that typical signing where they've done well somewhere else, and then they go and sign him off the back of that. Rodriguez hasn't done anything since that World Cup for Colombia. He's been at Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and done absolutely fuck all. So he'll probably go to Everton and not do anything.
But the thing is, apparently it's Ancelotti's wish that he gets Rodriguez through the door because they work together at Real Madrid and Bayern. Obviously,
Bayern
Munchen. Obviously, they're going for the Champions League this season, Everton, and trying to contest in the same market. I mean, Everton need to get their transfer policy sorted. I mean, I've always had this argument. They've got good players, and they've got players in round holes. At times, they've just got some shit players. Like Seamus Coleman. I mean, a lot of people rate him, but he's been there for way too long. They need to bring someone in. They had Kenny, didn't they, at right back? And they loaned him out to Schalke last season. I mean, John Joe Kenny should be playing in the Premier League. I mean, you look at some of the players come through their academy.
Do you know what
Everton are? I think the thing that sums it up is that Leighton Baines. They wanted Leighton Baines to sign another 1-year deal. Leighton Baines declined it and retired.
But Everton are the glass ceiling for like every player. If you're a top 6 player, a player at a top 6 club, and you don't cut it, but you're better than the teams in the bottom half, you'll go to Everton. Likewise, if you're in the bottom half, but you're not good enough to play for a top 6 side, you'll go to Everton. That is Everton. They're that glass ceiling club where the good players who aren't quite good enough will drop down, and the really good players from relegated clubs who aren't quite good enough to make the step up, they'll go there. That is what they are.
They're aspiring
always
to
be that.
more than they can actually do, and I completely agree with their boys. The kind of players they're bringing in just don't mix. They're just a mix and match. It's like going down to the shop to get some pick and mix. You're never going to get the right combination, whatever you choose. Right, where are we now? Next line, headline boys. Chelsea splashing the cash now. Like we talked about it there earlier, boys. Thiago Silva obviously signed, I think it's a 1-year deal. Ben Chilwell, £80 million reported to come in. Timo Werner is obviously going to bang in the goals. Hakim Ziyech, obviously a player of outstanding quality that's coming from Ajax. And there's still talk about more. Kai Havertz. I mean, Kai Havertz is one of those players that just makes me drool. If you look at how good he's been in the Bundesliga and for Bayern Leverkusen and the outstanding quality he could bring to Chelsea, and he's still only 21, I think he is, 21 years old, and he's just banging the goals in. DA, Chelsea, what do you make of him in the transfer window so far?
I'd say they made some very good signings, but it's whether or not they're going to be enough to take them to the next level. They're so far behind Man City and Liverpool last year. And also, what will it do for the youngsters as well coming through? Obviously, they'll be restricted a bit more now, but Werner's a well and true brilliant signing for them. I think he'll score the goals they need. And say him alongside Abraham if he plays. It's just, yeah, as a goalkeeper situation, I think it worries Chelsea a little bit as well. The goalkeeper is what they need.
They're still talking about the goalkeeper situation, and like you say there, it's probably something that's going to go under the radar in this chat, but are they going to splash out the cash and bring in a top goalkeeper again? I mean, what did they spend on Kepa? What something like 69 million for Kepa, wasn't it? Something like that?
78, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could be anything. I mean, they're not going to do that again, are they? They've made that mistake. You're not going to spend that amount of money on a keeper again.
I think Tom Pope would be a perfect goalkeeper for them.
Say that again?
I think Tom Pope would be a perfect goalkeeper for Chelsea.
Oh, really?
Tom Pope?
Who's that?
Who's Tom Pope?
Tom Pope's a striker, isn't he, for Port Vale?
I think it'd be perfect.
Nick Pope could be a good player. Could be a good player for Chelsea, given that he's got the right defenders in front of him. But like you say there, Tux, let's just go back to the bit about players losing time. You've got Abraham, you've got Mason Mount, and then you've got Fiyako Tomori as well. Those players are going to lose out when you compare them to the likes of Ben Chilwell, obviously coming in, Silva, Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech. They're not going to get game time, are they?
No, but I think it was always going to be the case anyway. I think the reason why they got their game time is because Chelsea was going for a transfer embargo anyway, so they had to use them. But Abramovich is, he wants Chelsea to be up there again. He doesn't want to be sitting in 3rd or 4th place. As much as he wants to give Lampard a chance, he's putting his money in. So Lampard's got a big season ahead of him. The players that have come in need to gel quickly. They need to have a trophy, I think, to have some sort of confidence there. But yeah, good signings overall so far. But yeah, it's all about whether they can gel or not, I think.
Yeah, completely agree. Becks, in terms of Chelsea then, do you think they've got enough to push for probably top 2, I'd say, in their sides, maybe?
Potentially, yes. I think it would be very difficult to get in touch with Liverpool and Man City, but stranger things have happened. I wouldn't rule out Spurs either. I'm not sure. I don't really fully trust Lampard just yet. I'd still put him a little bit way behind. But if he can get third and run him close, then that's not a bad achievement for him.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Right, let's have a look at this.
Listen up, lads. Are you madly searching for the next best podcast? Join Ash, Armchair, Tux and Becks for the FNZ 90+3 podcast as they speak to former professionals about their careers in football. Available to watch on YouTube or listen to on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Join the lads every Sunday from 8 p.m.
Yeah, so available to watch on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, listen to actually on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and watch on YouTube. Latest episode just came out, didn't it, boys? Who did we have? Dimitrios Konstantopoulos, wasn't it?
We did.
Yeah.
Good laugh, that. Good laugh. Obviously, week before, we missed out. We had Liam Ridgewell on the show. Great laugh, him. Thoroughly enjoyed speaking to him as well. But yeah, we've still got a few more guests. I think we've got episodes all the way up until November now, looking at the schedule. So, Series 1 is all done and dusted. So look out for that. If you're watching along, make sure you give it a shout. Right, let's get on to the next point of topic. Right, boys, Messi. And I'm sure you've heard the news, but if you've been hiding on the rock this week, Lionel Messi has handed in a transfer request at Barcelona. Newspaper reports in the last hour suggest that Messi will leave Barcelona and is likely to complete a move to Manchester City, claims a Nou Camp presidential candidate. So the player wishes to leave with immediate effect, despite the club holding a 630 million release clause over his head. So first question, boys. I'll start with you, DA. The greatest player on earth wants to move from the only club he has ever known. Are Barca in the shit?
Well, they've got to do a rebuild there, definitely. And say they lose Messi, who's their sort of talisman, even though they're not. Yeah, I think they're running through. They had a bad season last season. You look at what they've got there. They've got most of the squad up for sale as well, aren't they? I think they wouldn't have a little clear out, but they wanted to keep Messi to build the team. Well, Koeman don't want to build a team around it, but he's still very important for that team. And if he leaves, you just got to wonder what next for Barcelona, really. They're going to have to go on a massive recruitment to get the goals back and assists. He's such an influential player.
Yeah, you're right. An integral player, and obviously Barcelona, and I would say we're in the shit, Tux, to be honest. Putting everyone bar 3 players on the transfer list just says that you've got everything wrong at the moment, and it's not going to be a quick change.
Yeah, well, I mean, Barcelona have been a club that's been in, I don't know, sort of transition, I guess. Messi's been carrying them for quite a few years. Xavi's gone, Iniesta's gone, Puyol's gone. That spine of that team that was helping Messi to lift trophies, win Champions Leagues, La Ligas consistently. But yeah, I think that's the trouble. Barcelona haven't. They've kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit in terms of their recruitment since. You just got to look at it. With Coutinho, they loan him out to Bayern Munich, scores 2 goals against them. No more Champions League for Barca. It's as simple as that. So whoever was doing that recruitment, well, they've got to be damn job centre, really, aren't they? But it's poor. It is poor. Barcelona should be right up there. They're not. But yeah, if Messi goes, then yeah, they are in the shit. But I think, will he stay? Will he go? Is he just looking for more money? There's so many questions there. But I think out of the whole episodes that we've heard of Messi coming or going or whatever else, I think this is probably more serious than it ever has been. And if he's going anywhere, I think he's going City. Purely because 2 reasons. One, he gets to play with his best mate Aguero, and he gets to work with Pep again. So that would be my prediction.
I mean, Mark, Bex, do you agree that Man City is the place that everyone seems to think he's going? I mean, do you think that that's the only club he can go to?
I don't think he's going. I honestly don't think he is. I think, Messi is Barcelona. Whether they like it or not, the last 4 years he has been that club, and he has been integral to everything good at Barcelona for a long time now. I still think this is him exhorting the sort of power that he has to shift the whole balance of that club. They need to get rid of Bartomeu, who's an awful president, and quite frankly, he has every right to do that because they're nothing without him at this moment in time. The players there have been sort of hanging on to his coattails as he's dragged them to the league titles that they probably didn't deserve. But I can't see anyone who can. I honestly want to see him retire at Barcelona just for being a pure football purist. I know the last few years have been awful, but just one last hurrah for him to stay would do me. I think there's been something about La Liga have said that he can't leave for free, haven't they?
Yeah,
So,
that as well. I don't know how much that there is actually in that.
But then I don't get how would Man City, so when they accused of FFP breaches, whether or not they were found innocent, I think they were, weren't they?
Yeah.
But for them to go and spend 700 million euros to bring Messi in, that's just like that is the ultimate shithousery from Man City there if they're able to do that.
I mean,
I'd like to see him in the Premier League, obviously, because there's enough people. I know you're one of them who's like, oh, he's only done it at Barcelona, he can't do it anywhere else. But it'd be typical that he came and we can't even see him. But I don't think he'll go. I don't think he'll go.
We all saw that tweet that said, "Oh, if Stoke get promoted this season, it's likely that we'll see Messi playing on a cold Tuesday night in Stoke." There's a side of me that believes that the only reason Messi is how he is because of his, he's built himself up at Barcelona. He's become that player because he's on that platform. The minute you take away that platform, is he as good? Now, obviously, you would say yes. But you look at his time with Argentina, there's been struggles on the international stage. Mm-hmm. Can he do that in another camp? You just don't know. But there's no doubt in my mind, Messi's a great player. And if he came to the Premier League, he'd tear up anyway. Lest we forget that obviously Messi has won 4 Champions League titles, 6 Ballon d'Ors, 10 La Ligas, 3 Club World Cups during his time at the Nou Camp. For the fact that only Xavi has played more games for the club than Messi, has amassed more goals than Barca's 2nd, 3rd and 4th record goal scorers combined. I mean, that is breathtaking. Like, he is Barcelona inside and out. But from his point of view, Messi deserves that move if he wishes, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's obviously taken Barcelona to new heights, really. And if he wants to get his move somewhere else, then fine. But you don't have to be an arsehole about it. You can play the way you want to be and, be the greatest player ever. Like, Ronaldo's not really like that. He'll go and get his move and he'll go play for another club probably or whatever else. But, even if it's just someone like bloody, I don't know, someone really average in the Premier League and they just stomp their feet and don't get a move, like, how childish and petty do you have to be? You're a footballer at the end of the day. But I think he might go to City, but there's other clubs that he could go to. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go at all. But I think he needs to test himself in the Premier League. I think if he wants to be on the same level when he ends his career as Ronaldo can in the Premier League.
Oh, I can see Becks. Look, his blood is boiling after you said that. Becks would argue that there is only one level, and that's Messi's level. But yeah, I agree with you to some extent. I'll go to DA on this one then. Is it now a question of how far is too far when you consider player power in this situation? Messi is asking Barca to tear up his contract so he can move elsewhere. I mean, it's getting ridiculous now, isn't it? DA, are you there?
Dad.
Yeah, you look at football the last sort of few years, it's players are getting more and more. I'm here, yeah. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
he's well behind.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
No, I can hear you, mate. It's fine.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right, start again. Do you think player power's gone too far?
That's cool. Defo is the case. You look at the last few years.
Oh my god! Right, yeah. Go.
Kick him,
Oh, you're not
kick
watching
him out.
Netflix, so I don't even know why I asked that question because I won't get an answer for next week. Right, let's ask Tux. Let's play a power.
As player power, yes, I suppose it has in a way. Yeah, I want to get on the topic of why Becks thinks Messi's just got his own level. That's what I want to know.
Oh God, is it too early for the Messi Ronaldo debate? I really do think it is, boys.
Oh, I've lost it now. Dan's fucking killed me.
It's just a smiley face there, in the corner. Look, just waiting for the next shout out. Right, boys. I think we should move on to the next one. Anyway, Messi's. I don't think he's going anywhere. Personally, I think it will all be resolved next week when he gets his £1 million a week.
Yeah.
Updated contract, but there you go. Let's get on to the next one, boys. The striker update. So obviously, there's been a lot of movement with strikers in England at the moment. It concerns 3 divisions so far. Well, actually, if you take it, we'll go all divisions. Bristol Rovers, they're brought in 2 strikers, which has allowed Johnson Clark-Harris to sign a 4-year deal at Peterborough for an undisclosed fee, believed to be around £1 million. This has then opened the door for Brentford to seal the signature of Ivan Toney from Peterborough today for a fee believed to be more than a previous club record posh sale of Dwight Gale to Crystal Palace for £6 million. So we're probably talking 6 to 10 million for Ivan Toney. I think they quoted Celtic 10 million, so that's a good signing. This then arguably now opens the doors for Ollie Watkins to complete a Premier League move with Aston Villa and Fulham in the hunt for his signature. I think fees around 25 to 30 million are being put on the table for him. 24 years old, scored a lot of goals last season. Let's start with question number 1. Will Johnson Clark-Harris thrive with a move away from Bristol Rovers, Peterborough, a side that loves an attack and threat? JCH has had 16 League One goals last season, but fell out with management at Bristol Rovers. Can he overcome those setbacks and go all guns blazing this season, Becks?
If you look at it on a pure footballing standpoint, he is a downgrade on Ivan Toney. And so they obviously lost Marcus Maddison as well in the January window. And they've got this lad from Cheltenham, I think. So you look at on the face of it, they've downgraded a little bit, but we've seen it time and time again with Peterborough where they can just find this striker and pull some amazing goal numbers out of him. I think that's purely what they do. They bring a striker in and say, look, we'll provide you with assists, chances on the plate. If you put him in the back of the net, you'll get a big move. Will he get a big move out of this? He's not exactly young compared to what they've done in the past, but I don't know. I'm a little bit conflicted on it, really. I think it's a good signing, but it's just not as good as what they've done in the past. It's not like an Assomba Longa or a Gale or a Toney. Like, I don't think maybe people didn't expect this from Toney, but I've seen Johnson Clark-Harris at a championship level, and he's not really ever cut it.
No, I mean, I'd have to agree in some senses there. Peterborough obviously always been a club that made money from sales. If you think about it, I was reading up earlier, actually, it's their 11th player they've sold for more than £1 million, which is brilliant, coming from a club that's, never really made it higher than the championship. And we're talking only 1 or 2 seasons. Last season, they were absolutely blitzing teams that come to Port Road, absolutely destroyed Ipswich Town, made us look silly. If you look, Sam Smollett's ahead on loan. And obviously, Ivan Toney, who was pulling all the strings. Toney, what a player. An absolutely brilliant player. Holds up the ball, wins it in the air, scores goals. Bound to cut it in the championship. Would you agree with that, Tux? Oh, hold on, mate. Start again.
By far and away the best championship player we had, the best League One player that we had last season. just scores goals for fun, pacey. He's got power. He knows where that onion bag is. He's a great player, and I was expecting to do very well in the Championship with Brentford. And if they build a team around him, then wouldn't be surprised to see them in the Premier League and him be in the Premier League as well. So, yeah, class player really. Just with the Johnson Clark Harris thing as well. I think he was at Coventry and he wasn't that great. So he's one of them players I think that needs an arm around him to say, "Come on, mate, you can do it." And yeah, if you're going to do it somewhere, it's going to be at Peterborough. They're an ambitious club, so he could be the next Tony. You never know.
Yeah, they've got some decent players. I don't know if DA's with us. DA, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, mate. So I'm going to ask you a question now. Where do you see Peterborough finishing this season in League One?
I think they'll be top 6, but I don't think they'll be automatic. It'll be interesting to see how they sort of cope. Say losing Tony's goals. Like I say, Johnson Clark Harris has scored goals, but he's not as prolific as Tony. But they've still got eyes there. They've got a few other lads as well. There's apparently something else going as well. Apparently, they've left the sort of blank in the squad for striker. So would it be Smezik's going there? You never know, do you? But I think they're going to be up there. But I don't think they'll be top 2. You look at last season where they started so slow last year as well. They didn't win sort of game until September, and they were playing catch up. By the time they came, obviously they went to Port Road, they went above us, the top 2. And they fell away again slightly after that. But I think they'll be up there, but I don't think they'll be top 2.
Definitely room in League One to start slow, isn't there, and build your side. I mean, if you don't crack it in the first 5 to 10 games, no real worry, because if you find some form in the next 20 games, you'll laugh and come towards the end of the season. Ivan Toney, undoubtedly the best player in League One last season. Ollie Watkins, top goal scorer in the Championship last season. Actually, no, it's just behind Mitrovic, wasn't he, Becks?
Yeah, just behind, but well up there.
Brentford only spent, I think they got him on a free, didn't they? Or did they?
They got him from Exeter. I think Dean Smith got him in, so that's probably where the Aston Villa link has come from, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's where he ends up. But that was his first year as a striker. He's been a left winger before that. They sort of rolled the dice and thought, can he cut it up front? And there he goes and nearly gets the golden boot in the Championship, which is no mean feat at all.
Brentford going full on Brentford and nurturing him into a new position. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about players leaving Brentford, like David Raya and Saeed Ben Rama joining Arsenal. I heard today that they might do a double swoop. Aston Villa prepared to offer 70 grand a week for Ollie Watkins to beat Fulham to the transfer. I mean, Aston Villa are obviously in the market for a striker, but they just buy the wrong players. Obviously, they've changed their transfer policy. They brought in a new director of football. However, they're going to do it going forward. They need to do it better than last season because they just scraped relegation. You've got some good players in there, but striker is obviously a position they need to strengthen. Is Ollie Watkins the answer for them, Bex?
I'd say it's a risk. I wouldn't say he's a proven goal scorer. He's like we just said, he's only had 1 year as a striker. His goal numbers were good as a left winger as well. But yeah, like you said with Villa, they seem to. I don't know if they went down the Belgian market again. I think they got in Wesley and Samatta in January, and neither of them really did anything. And then you look at that, even the strikers they had before that, you had Codger and people like that. You just think, well, it's a bit. You're hedging your bets, really, and it's a little bit. I wouldn't say either of them are great. Watkins would be a risk. I think Fulham would probably be, if you went to Fulham would probably be a little bit in a safer position taking on Watkins as a risk because Mitrovic has been in the Premier League and done it before. But if I was Aston Villa, I would be looking at going back where they've been before and go after Tammy Abraham. See if they're going to splash the cash. He's obviously probably going to be second, maybe even third choice behind Giroud at Chelsea. Go back there, and you're sorted then.
Yeah. Yeah. You've just answered the question I was going to bring up there. Villa, obviously a team that need to bring in a kind of player, as well as Fulham do, that kind of wins them games. And, you know, how much do you have to pay, you know, being one of those basement clubs, to bring in a player that's going to score you goals? I mean, if we're talking 30 million, let's look at, for example, Crystal Palace when they bought in Benteke. They paid 30 million for him. I mean, it's stupid money. Like, you're not going to pay 30 million for that player. But, you know, you can't spend 30 million pounds on an unheard of player from, you know, non-league in Austria who scored 40 goals in a season to score the goals in the Premier League that are going to keep you up. When has that ever worked? You know, there's been very few players that have come through and done that. I think they need to buy the right players. And like you say there, Tammy Abraham would be a brilliant signing for them. But then you could look at bringing in players like Mason Mount, for example, on loan, because you'd argue they're not going to get as much game time in the Premier League this season as they did last, because Chelsea have spent the money they wanted to. And now they've got the team they want to push forward to, you know, hopefully knock Liverpool and Man City off their perch. You know, teams could benefit from bringing in players. You look at teams that have done it well, and I hate to say this, but Norwich came up into the Premier League. But if you look at some of their youngsters that came through, or some of the people they brought in, you've got Jamal Lewis, you've got obviously the baby beater, what's his name, Todd Cantwell, Ben Godfrey, those kinds of players, that good young players in the Premier League, didn't quite cut it. But they're the kind of players you could possibly bring in to support that. But I think there's a lot of work to be done at Villa, definitely with regards to strikers. Well, boys, we've come to the end tonight. I think we'll just run this one last time. Hold on.
Fancy yourself as a bit of a Premier League guru? Why don't you put your managerial skills to the test and join our FNZ Fantasy Premier League ahead of the new season? Download the Fantasy Premier League app and use the code on screen. Good luck, you're going to need it.
Bit of a slow burner tonight, boys, but it's nice to get back in the mix. Football's only a week away, so next week we'll probably be looking more about fixtures and what we're looking forward to, so maybe do a bit of homework. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the Monday night fixtures. Maybe we'll record a little later so we can bring in some of those Monday night fixtures, get a few people who are online at the time in to talk about the games. But yeah, and until next time, you know, stay involved, get involved, make sure you comment on the videos and get involved and share where possible. But yeah, take care and we'll see you next week.